second. Give man the green flag. Don't come back.
So next up is going to be Formula Vee, the budget single-seaters. A big grid of them this weekend, as we would expect, because later on today they'll be competing for the Leinster Trophy Race here at Mondello Park. Ronan Doherty has been complaining all weekend about his carbs and was getting laps in yesterday to make sure everything was all right. He said this morning they weren't fixed, but he's on pole position, so I'm assuming everything's all right in the carburetor department for that young man. Very much the star of the class this year. He's leading the rookie championship, but he's also has been right up the front all year. Great to watch. And very, very quick young man. If he wanted one, I'm sure there's a good future ahead for him in motor racing. Alongside him, experienced Gavin Buckley, very, very quick and a great racer as well. Then Lee Newsom from the Newsom dynasty. Anthony Cross, a million times Formula Vee champion on the outside of row 2. Man very much with an eye on the Leinster Trophy. Another one who has is Colin Blackburn. Tim Murray back out in the V. He's been running them all year. He's back in his own car and he's on row 3. Trevor Delaney, Mark Reed, another returnee for this weekend. Sean McCallion, Stephen Moran, another returnee. Robert Fleming, Kieran Hannon, Colin Lewis, Andy Keogh, Eamon Thornton, Ger Byrne, Colin O'Loughlin, James Shepherd, Oliver Devlin, Stephen Roach, Fergal Begley. Fergal Begley, there's a blast in the past. Fergal raced V's when I raced them, and that's not today or yesterday. The Dundalk dentist. So he'll be hoping to extract a good result from proceedings today. Collective groan in the commentary box. Jonathan Mannix alongside him, Jonathan Hyde, Brian Hall, Mark Shepherd, and Norman May completing the grid. So as we said, lots of Formula V's out, lots of ex-drivers out, lots of people having another go to try and have a chance of winning the Leinster Trophy. Leinster Trophy is a massively famous trophy. It's been won by huge names, 3 world champions, and many, many people who went on to forge out a great career in Irish motorsport. So for clubmen to get a chance to get their name on that trophy is very, very exciting. It's a big weekend, and you could feel the air in the Formula V area and the paddock. I was walking around there today. It's just a little more serious than normal, and it's a big, big day for all these guys. Make no mistake. Difficult conditions for them now. You have to change the setup quite a lot in the V for wet conditions, try and get traction at the back, but not too much understeer at the front, so they'll be fiddling around, disconnecting roll bars, softening back shocks, all that sort of stuff. And experience will come into play both on the spanners and behind the wheel. So 1600cc air-cooled engines in these cars. And Volkswagen gearbox, so they just use second gear off the line and third and fourth once they get going. So making their way round the international circuit now, through Lola Corner and out onto that long back straight. Great grid of cars, 13 rows. But Ronan Doherty it is, as we said, on pole position. So an extra lap being given to the V's. Again, air cooled, a bit like the Legend, so it's a little bit clammy for them today. The shower might have given them a little bit more fresh air. There wasn't much of that around this morning at Mondello Park, or indeed yesterday or Friday. Glorious weather, but tough conditions for drivers, and hard on cars as well. But the V's still wandering around and weaving around a bit, just checking where conditions are. Looking for grip out there. Adam McCauley has a multiple winner in V's and champion and all sorts of superstar, has joined me in the commentary box. Adam, was there a big rush in the paddock? I was just trying to explain, from certainly my memories are very old with V's, the fact we used to loosen off front roll bars and soften back shocks and stuff. Was there a big rush to get that done this morning? Yeah, everyone was sort of second guessing. To be honest, I'm running Gavin. I ended up staying dry. I figured the rain slowed down just in time, and I'm figuring going to be at least a dry line at the end of the race, and probably going to be on the dry. He's got to keep it on the black stuff until the second half of the race. I don't know what other guys did, but there was a lot of, it's one of them, you know, when it just rains and you know it's raining for the next half an hour, you go wet, take a bit of preload off the Z bar, you know, adjust your tyre pressure, stuff like that. But just tell us what a Z bar is if people don't know, Adam. Okay, so a V, the rear suspension in the Formula V is a swing axle, so it's only got one joint, unlike most rear suspensions which have two independent joints. So they tend to, when they get corner force, they tend to jack up in the air. So what we do to compensate is we put a spring. It's like an anti-roll bar, but instead of only working in roll, it only works in heave. So it basically, it controls, it uses, it's your ride spring, but it controls the amount of droop that and you can preload it as well, so you can control how much the car jacks basically in the corner. And then it's one of the settings on the V's I found in my time they're quite sensitive to. Like, so it's probably one of the main things you'd go to for setup, like, you know, if you're getting wheel spin or if you're getting turned in oversteer, you might pull it down more. If you're getting wheel spin out, you might take a bit off, and so on and so forth, like that. It affects the ride height as well, the preload will. If you change the preload, it affects the ride height of the car, which then has another knock-on effect as well. So it's kind of, it's something that you would change in the wet, just give you help with traction a little bit, because it's easy to spin wheels up open diffs and V's, so it's easy to get wheel spin. Now these tyres actually that we're on now, we're on Toyo tyres as opposed to the Dunlops that we used to when I raced. They're sort of they're a road legal kind of tyre, similar to probably what Fiestas run and Strikers and other classes, and they are a little bit better in the rain. They do clear the water better than the old cross plies, so that does help. But you know, Leo, single seaters no fun. Single seaters just don't like these conditions. You know, they won't turn, and then the wheel spin coming out of the corner. The lock brakes, all that sort of stuff. So they're tricky. They're tricky to drive, you know, and visibility too. Open cockpit. You know, if there's proper spray, which I'm not sure there'll be too much of here at the moment, it's very hard to just see where you're going. Can be a challenge at times, you know. And
we'll see how they get off the line now. That's going to be another challenge here.
That's your car that you run on the right-hand side coming down towards us. How much input did Gavin have? You have him on full dry settings, so we're going to expect him to struggle initially, are we? And then hopefully come back. Sun's out now, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's the hope. I don't know what everybody else is on. Certainly Ronan Doherty made a fool of everybody in the mixed conditions. Well, a fool is a strong word, but he dominated in Anglesey in these conditions. I expect him to be good. Lee Newsom too has won loads of wet races. So is Anthony Cross. Colin Blackburn, watch him in the first lap. He's got the bit between his teeth. Tim Murray's last race, Tim Murray won was down here in the pouring rain. He beat Dan Polly. So there's 5 guys that have all won wet races before. In fact, Gavin's last win was in the rain too. But so Gavin's full dry. The only thing that changed is I took the air filters off with the trumpets on just in case there was a bit of spray. But that doesn't make much difference one way or the other. We'll just see how they get off the line now. It's going to be very slippery now. The first couple of laps, it's definitely just keeping it on the track is going to be paramount. And then I suppose it's going to take shape. Then the running order after say the end of the first lap, and then we'll see if there can be moves made. I think my mindset if I was racing here now would be just if I don't make any mistakes, I'm going to go forwards. Doesn't matter where I am on the grid. It's so easy to make mistakes, as you know yourself. There's no ABS brakes or anything like that in one of these. So if the light's on here now. We're away, and it's a good start from Gavin Buckley. Not a great start from Ronan Doherty, so Lee Newsom's up past him. Ronan kind of got swallowed by the pack there. So it's Buckley from Newsom, from Murray as we get down to turn 1.
Blackburn boxed in a little bit. See that? Blackburn got boxed in behind. Doherty's gone way back. I mean, from a commentary point of view, that's pretty good for us because he'll surely come back at the won't he?
Oh, he's going to have his head down now. Even in Anglesey the last day, he got a bad start as well. It has been a problem for him this season, but he seems to be. See now he's on the move there now already.
You tell the truth about setup because Gavin Buckley's got a 10-car leg lead there.
Let's see if he keeps around the black stuff here. Now Lee Newsom's going to be thinking championship points. Oh, and we've got a car up the inside. Mark Reid up to second place. So Mark's up the inside of Lee Newsom. Mark's nothing to lose. Similar to Gavin, there's no championship or anything for Gavin and Mark. So they just have to drive their best and see where they end up. Lee has to be sort of conscious of his championship points. He just needs a couple of podiums this weekend and probably will wrap the championship up. Don't know if that's going to play in his mind. Sometimes that's the wrong thing to think about. You're better off leading the race and winning. It's probably the safest way to do it. But we'll see how they file out with Parabolica here now.
Cracking move by young Doherty down the inside of Blackburn to take the place off him into the S's there, or into Bridgestone as we call it on the international track. I'm surprised Blackburn left the door open there. Yeah. Waves yellows in the background. Look at this. That's down the Newsom down the outside of Reid. Great to have Mark Reid back out there. He's always a feisty racer, isn't he?
Oh, he's a cracking racer, Mark. Yeah, he doesn't. There's no quarter asked or given with Mark. He's a great racer and always goes forward. First time in this car. I don't know where the car came from. You'd have to ask Paul or Mark. But he's certainly having a go here. The wet conditions will probably suit him. And we've Doherty now up the inside of Reid as they go through Bahrain's bends. He has the cut back. Can he make it stick down into? He's going for it on the brakes, and he's got the job done. He might get 2 for the price of 1 here, not quite. Oh, Mark's fighting with a little touch there. Little touch between Reid and Doherty. Doherty's just backed out of it. Thought the better of it.
Good stuff from Reid to sit around the outside and use that traction well. He rocketed out of that corner, didn't he, Adam?
Yeah. No, he squared it off, got the power well. Those 004 Leastones have very good traction in the wet. I remember racing Raymore for years, and they're always great out of corners in the wet. They run less camber, and I think that helps in these conditions. So we have a train behind Newsom here now. Reid, Doherty's side. Doherty's actually defending from Blackburn here now. He's going to try the long way around. Doherty's trying to switch back. Blackburn trying all the way. And Reid trying around the outside of Newsom. He's got the inside for turn 2. Going to go side by side, and it's Reid up to second place. So a great move there. There was obviously a bit of grip around the outside there, and he was able to get white there in the rear tyres. And he passed 2 cars basically on the exit of turn 1. So that was great. A great move there.
It's like he's never been away. Mark Reid in the works Leastone always worked well with Paul Levy. Down the inside goes Doherty. Beautiful move on Newsom. Newsom tries to come across the back of him, but Doherty contains it, gets the run up the hill. Good racing here, isn't it?
Yeah, this is it's heating up here now, and the track's going to be drying. That's another challenge here now. Particularly for the likes of Gavin there, he's a lead there now, and the track's drying, so the track's going to be getting set quicker by a half a second, a second lap. You've got to read that because you can get into a rhythm there and think you're going well, and then you look in the mirrors and everybody's catching you. So whoever can read the conditions the best and maximise the dry line when it starts to show up is going to come on strong. It was a good lead for Buckley there. Reid from Doherty. They're all sort of line astern there. Now actually it wasn't a great run from Doherty out of that corner. I know he had carburetor issues. I wonder if he's still got a. We've got a safety car here. last thing Gavin Buckley's going to want to see. We've got Jonathan Mannix off in Bahrain bends. It's always a high probability in conditions like this, so that's not great now for Buckley. He had a 2.5 second lead. It was probably more by the time we have a few cars off. Sean McCallion's off. No, it's still moving, I think. So we have a few cars off all over the place there now. Just these conditions, they're a bit of a nightmare. It's going to be Buckley from Reed, from Doherty, from Newsom, from Blackburn, from Cross, from Tim Murray, and then Stephen Marin actually going well. Stephen Marin is up to 9th, so he's made progress. So we see now. Hopefully, it won't take too long. Another lap or so, and we'll get running again. So you know yourself, Leo, so the last thing you want, you do all the hard work the first couple of laps in the wet and you pull out a good lead. Safety car, but it's exactly what the lads behind will want. They'll want to see they'll be delighted now to get a second chance at Gavin. So it's going to certainly make things interesting. Just hopefully now that the crew here can get the cars clear pretty quick. That'd be great. The other thing as well, when you have a safety car in wet conditions like this on a drying track, it can always catch you out. The track always dries, or vice versa if it starts raining, and because you're going so slow behind the safety car, you don't really get a feel for the conditions. So safety car comes in, you come up to Dunlop for the first time, and you don't know what's going to be under your brake pedal when you hit the brakes. So you don't know what's going to be there for you when you hit it. So that's another challenge. They're clearing Sean McCallion there from Tarzan 2. And then there's one more car, Stephen Roach down the gravel and Tarzan 1. Still called Tarzan, are they? 7A and 7B. So McCallion's back going again. He was off at 7B, and Stephen Roach getting pulled out of the gravel here, 7A. And then we've got Jonathan Mannix up in the Bahrain bends. He's up in the gravel trap there. It's a pretty deep gravel trap. I've been in there myself. It's hard to get out of it. Hopefully now Stephen can get it restarted. He's back onto the concrete anyway. But he might just pull him off to the inside of the track with Lilio just to. Yeah, they should probably pull him out a bit. He must be running. Just don't go forward, Stephen, into the gravel now. He's just going to lap down there now to the pack. We still have John Mannix in the gravel, so there's going to be at least another lap. So I don't know how are we for time. There's 6 minutes left, so there's probably going to be a two-lap shootout at the end. Is it something like that? 1 lap. I hope it's half a lap. I hope it finishes behind the safety car myself now at this stage. Not good for the spectacle, but it would be for Gavin. We've had it. So I can just see there now they're recovering Jonathan Mannix's car. They have it, I think, attached to the tow rope there, from what I can see, or they're just about to anyway. So hopefully, it Won't take too long. I think the pack's down in turn 3. Just going to have to remind me there what's turn 3. Still turn 3. Good. So we have Bahrain Benz, Honda. Okay. Camping corner. Okay. So what was Parabolica is now Lola. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we got one right anyway. And then we've got. Okay, it was Honda when I raced, and so. So then we're into, paddock, and then up the south side. So I got 2 right. 2 out of 12 or 13 or however many there is. Well, when I started in 2006, and the first time I raced the car, David Shane gave it to me, and David was talking me through the track. It was the Mondello National, and it was. I can't remember what turn 1 was, but turn 2 was Bowack, turn 3 was Duckham's, and then the last corner was Dunlop. Now Bowack sort of died out, but people you still hear Duckham's around the paddock, and you still hear Dunlop as well. To be honest, I still probably would use them sometimes when you're not thinking, But it is easier. I do find it's better when they're named rather than turn 3 or turn 4, because you do say it and you instantly know what the corner is like, So yeah, I can see Jonathan Mannix back in here now. So I think we're gonna get racing. Safety car in this lap. So I've had a few disagreements with Gavin in the past about his safety car restarts. So my 2 toes are crossed now that he gets a good one this time. He hasn't led. I don't know if he's ever led a safety car restart before. He certainly had bad safety car restarts from 2nd and 3rd, but we'll see how he does here now. He might just wait till Dunlop and go down. It's hard to know in the wet where you want to do it. So he's gone. You can see Mark's actually pretty close to him. Tim Murray on the inside line there. I don't know what Tim's doing. Can't pass the across their finish line. So a decent restart from Buckley. From Reid. Doherty, actually, Newsom didn't have a great restart, so there's a gap between Newsom and he's actually under pressure for Blackburn. We'll see what happens down in turn 1 here. We've Doherty going right around the carton line around the outside, and we've Blackburn up the inside of Newsom. That's the job done there. So I think Buckley and Reid took the conventional line. Good carton line there from Ronan Doherty. I think he's probably been practicing on the sim. He's got Mark under pressure. Oh, big closing speed there into the first part. And he's up the inside. I think Reid was caught a little bit unawares there now. Oh, he's fighting back though. Good traction from the lee stone up out of the corner. If he stays off that curb, yeah, he held the position. It's good traction in that lee stone. Really puts the power down well. He's just not quite as confident as Doherty on the brakes. So he's shown Doherty onto the wet line there. And yeah, good clear exit out of turn 4. So yeah, but Blackburn is up past Newsom. Then it's Cross. Then it's Murray. Then it's Stephen Marin. I can't quite see who's behind Stephen Marin. So another different line there from Doherty. He's trying all the different lines. That was actually very apparent in. And he's trying to move. No, Mark defends. Oh, but he's still going. He hasn't given up on it yet. Oh, he's very confident on the brakes. Really confident on the brakes. And Blackburn now is closed right up on Reid. So this is the... Oh, spin for Buckley! I can't believe it. Starting the lead from Reid. He blew it last lap of the race and he's thrown it away. And another spin there. So it's Doherty from Reid, from Blackburn. We Cross trying to move on Newsom there. So the leader's just gone out a shot here now. So Blackburn's close to Reid here now, but I think Doherty's got us. Oh, and Cross and Newsom banging wheels. And Cross has forced his way through. Blackburn trying around the outside. side by side across the line here for Blackburn and Reid. It's going to be a photo finish, but it's going to be Doherty to take the win. From Reid, from Blackburn, from Cross, from Newsom, from Tim Murray, Stephen Moran, and then we've got a photo finish between Andy Keogh and Gavin Buckley.
That wasn't exactly what you were looking for there. It's such a shame. Gavin Buckley hadn't put a foot round, but 0-0 unfortunately on the last lap. He snatched defeat from the jaws of victory, and there'll be chats down there. But thanks very much to Adam McCauley. Always great knowledgeable commentary, and plenty of emotion in that one, because his man just had a quick spin on the final lap. But that's a taste of what you're going to get later on for the Leinster Trophy. That's what these little single-seaters do. They fight tooth and nail. 3 across the line. Doherty, Reid and Blackburn, absolutely fantastic stuff. Then Cross, Newsom, Murray, great depth of talent in this one. Stephen Moran, Andy Keogh, Gavin Buckley and Mark Shepherd rounding out the top 10. Fantastic stuff from Formula Vee on their first race of the weekend. In a few minutes' time, it'll be the Coffee to Go Fiesta ST Championship. So there's the finishing order. Doherty, Reid, Blackburn, Cross, Newsom and Tim Murray rounding out the top 6. Then Stephen Moran, Andy Keogh, Gavin Buckley and Mark Shepherd. So great stuff from Formula V. And just Ronan Doherty, who took the win there, has already wrapped up the Star Tomorrow, the LOH Star Tomorrow Championship. So very impressive young man. I did tell you he could run with the more experienced drivers. He's just taken a win there, and he drove superbly. Remember, he was slow off the line. He was back to, I don't know, 7th place maybe down into turn 1, and fought his way back up to take the lead. He's got to be happy with that. Fastest lap to Colin Blackburn, who did look very racy on that final lap, a 2:16.2. Now that is 1.1 second faster than Doherty managed. It's quicker than anybody else. Doherty would be the second quickest, I think, just scanning down through them. So that's a really quick lap time on the final lap from Colin Blackburn, including all that weaving across the line. So Blackburn's got plenty of pace. We don't know if it's going to be wet or dry later on for the Leinster Trophy race, but we'll play that one by ear. It's back to saloons now, and the higher powered Fiestas, the 150 or 160 brake horsepower Fiesta STs coming out. A lot of very, very experienced drivers in this one. Michael Cullen has been doing most of the winning, and Michael Cullen and son Victor were 1-2 in this one, and they came into the pits to cool the tyres, and Max Turley did a last lap flyer and split them. So Victor Cullen demoted to row 2 alongside Dara McMullen. Then John Elliff driving superbly, the ex-Carter on row 3. Roy White, the ex-rallyman, getting to grips with these cars. I have a feeling Roy might relish these conditions. I watched Roy testing one of these cars earlier in the year, and he was full opposite lock through turn 2 in the wet and not losing any time. He's not afraid to get a car out of shape. Roy White, very talented driver. Hasn't really clicked with the STs just yet, but watch out for him in these conditions. He could be a man to watch on row 3. Trevor Farrar has been driving superbly lately and starting to get himself regular podium. Shane McBride, great to have him back. 555 Keane O'Brien. We'd expect Keane to be on row 1 or 2. I asked him after qualifying what happened this morning in the Pro Tune car, and he said just everything, just traffic, couldn't get a clear lap. He thought the car was actually okay. There's nothing wrong with it, so watch out for him. Very distinctive car, black car with 2 Daedalo orange stripes. Look at the grid of Fiesta STs, the biggest grid we've had all year. Chris Jones next up in the Jones investment car. Wayne Laverick, Tim McQuaid, what about that? First time out. He's just bought that Eric Holstein car a couple of weeks back, and he's well up there. Then Christopher Grimes Jr., Sylvie Bartlett, who went so well earlier on in the year, number 25. Then Gary Lynch, Gordon Kellett, massively experienced Gordon Kellett. Then David Kidd, great to see David Kidd back out. We haven't seen him in a long time. A man with rich history at Mondello Park and saloon car racing. And Christopher Grimes Sr. So there's your grid for the Fiesta ST Championship, sponsored by the Dublin coffee shop chain Coffee to Go. Graham McDonald's business. Graham McDonald is a former champion in this class and still races competitively in the Seat Supercup. So we should be ready to go very, very shortly. There's a shot of Michael Cullen. Going to start this one on pole position. Lots of mechanics around, and they would have been fiddling again. Like the V's, they would have all run towards the cars and changed them, perhaps softened them off just a little bit. With a front-wheel drive racing car, you run the back particularly stiff to try and get the back moving around just to control and kill the understeer and save your front tyres, and that's not exactly what you want in wet conditions. It's still slippery out there. I mean, it hasn't rained since maybe halfway through that last V race, but the track still looks a little bit greasy from where I'm sitting here at the top of the tower at Mondello Park. In fact, you can see it there. You don't need me to tell you. That's a shot of Southside Motor Factor's corner, the last corner here at Mondello Park. So I think we've been trying to develop these the in-car camera technology. So I think we have cameras in Michael Cullen's car. Now we made the mistake of putting one pointing forward the last time, and he led from start to finish. So the boys are talking about putting in 2 cameras. There we go. We're looking back from Michael Cullen's car. Great shot. That's the guys from See It Live putting in these cameras. Not sure if it'll work out, if it'll be able to transmit out in the international loop. I'll be very impressed if it can, but we will get shots certainly on the main straight and final corner and down into turn 1. And that's Max Turley we're looking back at there. Max Turley, who did that cracking lap right at the end in the Pannonia Bio car. Max Turley, very quick driver, very spectacular, and a bit of a nemesis. Himself and Michael Cullen have been known to dispute the same piece of tarmac on numerous occasions, so this could be an absolute cracker. Darragh McMullen's also had a couple of wins this year. So 18 Fiesta STs. I think there were 20 and we dropped a few, but it's certainly still the biggest grid we've had this year. These cars particularly good value. The Zetecs have risen in value a lot, and these cars not that much dearer, but substantially faster. 80 brake horsepower in a Zetec, probably 160 in these cars. So some of the drivers coming into this class, even with relatively little experience, Tim McQuaid, I think, has done a little bit of rallying, but certainly has qualified mid-grade for his first race in this series. And there's the universal twiddly signal to start your engines. So Michael Cullen looking to add to his vast quantity of wins this year. He won 8 races in 2 race meetings recently here at Mondello Park in ICCR 3 and ICCR 4, both striker races and both Fiesta ST races. A little bit difficult to Fiesta STs because we reverse the top 6, so if he wins this one he starts 6th to race 2 and away they go. Running Nankang tyres this year, so a bit like Adam was explaining in the Formula V's, they're like a track day tyre, so you don't run a slick and a wet, you run the same tyre regardless of conditions. And sometimes they'll put on newer tyres if it's because there's more tread on them if it's wet out there, but I think most will be thinking that it's going to dry. It looks very dark in the background in the camera shot here, but actually it's brightened up quite a lot in the last 10 or 15 minutes. So there is a little bit of sunshine down there. In a bit there you get a far brighter picture there down at turn 1 as they stream around turn 1 just in front of the Beacon Hospital signage. And they try and get back across to the right to get the best line through Campion Corner, which is flat out in the dry in these cars, but not so much if it's wet. And they'll have to give a little lift, which unsettles the back, so you tend to see some big drifts through Campion Corner, which John Campion no doubt would approve of. And they're down at turn 3, the corner that Adam said for many years was called Duckham's. The first the kink going through where you go really quickly, and then you have to stand on the brakes, get the car straightened up down to second gear in these little STs and get them turned in without getting what they call the ST hops. When the tyres get a little bit warm, the cars can bounce around a little bit, making them difficult to get back on the power and get out of the corner. They're getting ready to go. That's the shot from the back of the grid for the coffee to go Fiesta STs. All about traction off the line now. It's a big balance. They've got a lot of power in relative terms, so there's no way it's full throttle. It's a little bit of throttle and possibly slip the clutch, try and get away. Once you get rolling, you can feed the power in, but you won't open the throttle too early in these cars. Max Turley on the outside. Michael Cullen on the inside on pole position. The 5-second board is up. 2 hard racers on the front row. Watch out for McMullen and Victor Cullen. And then Roy White in these conditions. Max Turley gets away better. And McMullen gives Victor the big squeeze. He gets alongside Michael Cullen as they head down towards turn 1. And it is Max Turley who leads now down into turn 1. We're looking back at Victor from his dad's car. Turley it is, and McMullen down the outside. Cracking start from McMullen from row 2. He's got round both of the Cullens. I think he's door to door with Michael now for Campion Corner. And it hasn't been a great start for Michael or Victor so far. It's Turley. It's not McMullen. Somebody's got back by. I suspect that's Michael that's got back by around Campion Corners, held off the Newtone car. Those 3 cars are pretty similar in terms of colour, but certainly the Newtone car is standing out a little bit there compared to the 2 Beacon Hospital cars. But 3 blue and white cars. Then Roy White, I did say watch out for him. Then who's that next up? Is that Shane McBride? It is. What a start from the Dundalk man. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Former Formula Vee, he's done well. He's got Ferrari with him. We're looking back now at McMullen coming around the S's. Look how much these cars move around. Michael Cullen, 2nd gear, up to 3rd gear, up Kennedy's Rise now and inching away. Better traction off that corner, but he's more interested in chasing down Mark Turley. He really wants to win this one. Michael Cullen keen to add to his win tally for the year. He's been right up the front of the Autosport British and Irish driving standards, standards. I was going to say Freudian slip. The Autosport driver standings for a number of wins. He was right up there last year, and he's again this year. Roy White now tracking down Victor. Shane McBride, what a start from him. Ferrar has a look down the inside. Doesn't make it on that occasion. Then it's Keane O'Brien, 555. Gordon Kelly has come up well too. Then it's Jones. It looks like Sylvie Bartlett going, John Elliff. He had qualified so well. Bad first lap for him. Max Turley beginning to get away though, and Cullen not dropping that car of McMullen just yet as they go through the right and left. Through the left-hander of Paddock again, and Turley absolutely away down the road. This will be interesting if it does dry up. Is he on a wet setup? It's been a cracking first lap. It's not right. It is Roy White. Look at him moving around. He's right with this group. Victor Cullen closes down McMullen that time as Michael Cullen begins to just eke out a little bit of a lead in the second place battle there. Cullen, McMullen, Victor Cullen, Roy White right with them as we expected in these conditions. Roy will relish these conditions. He's a rally man, he doesn't mind getting out of shape. That's him there, the grey and orange car just going through the picture. Then it's McBride, Ferrar, O'Brien, Kellett, Jones, Sylvie Bartlett. Then it's John Elliff, Wayne Laverick, Chris Grimes Jr., David Kidd, Tim McQuaid, Gary Lynch and Christopher Grimes Sr. as they went by us at the end of lap 1. But Max Turley leading by 2.8 seconds at the end of lap 1. Michael Cullen definitely getting away now from McMullen, who's got Victor Cullen and the charging Roy White for company. There we're looking back at that gap. This is where we were looking back from the lap before, coming down into Bridgestone. Normally the first part of the S's, and definitely he's increased that quite a lot, that gap back to his pursuers. But he's got to balance the gap to Turley and hope that Turley's on a full wet setup and the track might come to Michael Cullen as it dries out. Gordon Kellett's got up ahead of young Keane O'Brien. Good run from Kellett. Massively experienced Gordon Kellett, hugely successful saloon car racer. He started off in an XR3 and then moved up to an RS Turbo when he started getting plenty of success, and then was one of the big men in the 300 brake horsepower Group N Sierra Cosworth days here at Mondello Park. So lots of experience inside that little black Murray Motorsport car as Roy White begins to hassle Victor Cullen down at 7B. I think he's further away again, but we'll wait and see. Roy White just looking for a way by Victor now as McMullen begins to ease away from them just a little bit. And Shane McBride, Trevor Ferrar coming through, and then the two black and orange cars, similarly coloured. Michael Cullen jumping the inside curve there up onto two wheels briefly at Paddock Corner as he tries to track down the Murray Motorsport car of Max Turley. Here comes Turley. Turley 3/10 quicker again. The gap out to 3.1 seconds now. Only fractions in it. Michael Cullen has the quickest first sector though. This is where they are now. Turns 1, 2 and 3. Turley making it up on the rest of the track. Quicker in sector, certainly in sector 2. So the order: Max Turley, Michael Cullen, Darragh McMullen, Victor Cullen, Roy White, Shane McBride, Trevor Farrar, Gordon Kellett, Keane O'Brien, Chris Jones, Sylvie Bartlett, John Aliff, Chris Grimes Jr., David Kidd, Wayne Laverick, Tim McQuaid, Gary Lynch and Christopher Grimes Sr. Just been joined in the commentary box by the Leinster Trophy. We'll see if we can get a few shots of that at lunchtime. We get one of the cameramen to have a look at it. Great bit of kit. Brian from the Leinster Motor Club there bringing up the trophies and allowing us to have a look at some of the famous names on them over the weekend. The Jack Toohey trophy up here too, we spoke about earlier. Legends will be racing for that one later on. So no change up front. In fact, I don't think Michael Cullen's making any inroads there. There was a cracking first lap by Max Turley, and that might very well have won him this race. This class will be racing in their second race for the famous O'Reilly Trophy later on this afternoon, another Leinster Motor Club trophy. So Roy White hanging on to Victor Cullen, but hasn't really challenged just yet. Those three cars equidistant. That's third, fourth and fifth: McMullen, Victor Cullen and Roy White. Here they come again, and I don't think there's much difference in it this time, but if anything, I think perhaps Max Turley has eked out another few tenths. It was 3.196 seconds the gap last time round. Turley goes through, new fastest lap. Yeah, and again another 8 tenths faster that lap round, 7 tenths, so the gap out to almost 4 seconds now. Good battles all the way down the grid. Look at the right here, Farrar under big pressure. Somebody having a look down the inside. Gordon Kellett and Keane O'Brien right with him, and Chris Jones, and indeed Sylvie Bartlett. And John Aliff, who qualified so well. Obviously his car not set up perfectly for these damp conditions, but in the dry this morning he was very, very quick. Here's your last lap time on the left, and a list of the top 10 drivers. That's not actually their fastest lap, that's the last lap they've done. Shane McBride had been slightly quicker than that on his previous lap, but in most of the cases it is actually their fastest lap, as it's drying out slightly. So Max Turley currently with fastest lap 2:10.290. If you want to compare that with qualifying this morning when it was dry, Michael Cullen's pole position is 2:04.013. So 6.2 seconds, the difference between this damp conditions and a completely dry track, so it's still pretty wet out there. So Turley, Cullen, McMullen, Victor Cullen, Roy White, Shane McBride is your top 6. Michael Cullen still easing away, but not making any inroads at Turley. Max Turley incredibly quick, great car control, can be a little bit raw around the edges and just not afraid of a scrap on track at all, but he looks completely composed, completely relaxed here, and he's just easing away from everybody. It's a very good performance from young Max Turley. We've seen a lot of young guns coming into Irish saloon car racing in recent times. Victor Cullen, Max Turley, the two McGoverns, young Dave Maguire. It's just there's so much of them coming in. They're all really, really quick. It's good for the future of the sport in Ireland. There's Michael Cullen coming up to Southside. Victor Cullen definitely closer this time though to McMullen as they get on the brakes up to Southside. Two blue and white cars. 2, 3 as they go by us. Roy White not too far either. Oh, big gaggle of cars coming out of the final corner there. There's about 5 cars together at the top of the screen. It's Farrar from Kellett and O'Brien. There they go. Look at this. Kellett goes to the inside. You don't get between Gordon Kellett and the pit wall. Nobody's told Cian O'Brien that. Barry Rabbit could tell him that one. Gordon Kellett can be defensive as well, but he's on the attack today as he climbs up through the grid. Gordon qualified well back. He's much more relaxed about his racing than he used to be. But he's always great crack in the paddock for a bit of a chat. Always having fun, but he's gone a little bit more serious today. Gordon will be smiling. You can almost hear the distinctive Gordon Kellett laugh coming from under the helmet there as he carves his way forward here in this one. He's going very, very well. Up to 8th place and looking for 7th place now from Trevor Farrar. That's the second of these cars, the black and orange car. That one there, 14 and 555 is Cian O'Brien. Cian O'Brien actually leading this championship before this weekend and has already won the Kyrgyzstan Mini Cup, the Mini R50 Cup. So a man very much on the up. This isn't his normal form. He's normally up at the top. He's won races in this class. He won the second race when we visited Anglesey earlier on this year, and he'll be keen to get by Kellett, and he's trying to have a look now on the outside as they climb the hill. And Sylvie Bartlett's got a bit closer to them as well. 2 minutes, just under 3 minutes to run, 2:51. Shane McBride, good start from Shane McBride, saw him get up to 6th place. He's held that well, and this time I think O'Brien has got up the inside of Gordon Kellett. Gordon gives him the big squeeze. O'Brien's not going to back out of that one. It's last of the late breakers, and it's the young Dundalk man who slices by and takes that place back, but Gordon tries to switch back to the inside. He does. Cian gives him racing room. It's good driving by these guys, and Gordon gives him, well, maybe the deal with an ST, maybe not quite on the exit. But here comes Sylvie Bartlett with a great run, the former V man, and he slices down the inside. It's all gone wrong for Cian O'Brien there, the Pro Tune car. He was just wrong-footed by Gordon Kellett on the way out, and Bartlett grabbed the opportunity. So great stuff. 2 minutes to go in this one. Here's our leader, way ahead of anybody else in the Murray Motorsport car. Swap the speeds as they go by. 130 is Max Turley's speed as he goes through the speed trap. 128 for Michael Cullen. 128 for Darragh McMullen. 127 for Victor Cullen. 127 for Roy White. 126 for Shane McBride. 123 for Trevor Farrar, 127 for Gordon Kellett. So Max Turley quicker than anybody else in the main straight by 2 kilometres per hour. It's not much, but you'd rather have it than not have it. Conditions like this though, that can be dictated by traction out of the final corner, of course, or chassis setup or anything at all. Max Turley, they gap out to 5.4 seconds now. Michael Cullen won't be too happy with this result if it ends this way. He's very keen on winning and very used to winning at Mondello Park, but certainly there's nothing he can do about Turley at this stage. Roy White will be happy with this run. He's running right with that 3rd place battle there. And Shane McBride came into this class from Formula Vee and ran right at the front, led a race actually, and was very strong, and then had an engine failure. He had the engine rebuilt. We haven't seen much of him since, but he's back and he's going very nicely in 6th. And Farrar, Kellett, Bartlett and O'Brien still battling. So here we go. I think this is probably going to be the final lap. I don't think Turley will start another one before the clock gets to 0. He won't. 19 seconds to run, so this is the final lap. Here comes Max Turley. Absolutely perfect stuff from him. He'll be happy with that one. His Murray Motorsport team will be happy too. Lights the flag. Victory for Max Turley. Michael Cullen in the Beacon Hospital car comes down for 2nd place. And McMullen holding off Victor Cullen for 3rd. Roy White at 4th. Drop back a little bit the final lap. Look at this stream of cars coming out of the final corner. McBride goes through, but look at this, heading for the flag. Who's it going to be? It's going to be Gordon Kellett fights his way past everybody in that group. What a race from Gordon Kellett. Then it's Trevor Farrar, Sylvie Bartlett, Cian O'Brien, Chris Jones and John O'Liff, like one car with 16 wheels as they go by. And another battle here as David Kidd just pips McQuaid, Laverick and Gary Lynch to the flag. So cracking racing all the way down the grid from the Fiesta ST Championship, the coffee to go Fiesta STs as Grimes comes down to take the checkered flag. So not too much scrapping up front, but plenty in the midfield as they come back down towards us. Fantastic stuff. They're all heading back into Parc Fermé. Mark Turley takes the win from Michael Cullen, and Darragh McMullen will join them on the podium. We'll have the podium, 2 podiums after race 2. And then Victor Cullen, Roy White, Shane McBride, Gordon Kellett, Trevor Farrar, Sylvie Bartlett, and so great stuff from Fiesta STs. It's their slightly less powerful stablemates to be next out. The Zetecs Safety Fiesta Zetec Championship, biggest grid for the last 2 years at every race meeting at Mondello Park. They've filled the grids. They've almost oversubscribed on a number of occasions. A mixture of some very quick young drivers and some really quick, very, very experienced drivers on the grid in this one. Breaking for lunch after this one. We'll come back with the Supercup Ireland and ITCC classes, but Zetec's already in the pit lane. There they are, and they'll fill the entire pit lane. I think we've about 30 cars out in this one. Young Dave Maguire Jr. Starting on pole position, that beautiful JMC car run by LOH Motorsport. Kevin O'Hara, Luke O'Hara, John O'Hara and their team. They also run Michael Cullen and Victor Cullen. Mark Quinlan getting a few photos in there as they head out the end of the pit lane on the formation lap. So we've got, as we said, we've got some really quick younger drivers in this class. And we've got some really experienced drivers who've been massively successful and are really, really quick as well. But then you've also got raw novices in the class that have never raced before, and this is their first season. And for them, we run a Rookies Cup, and the Rookie Cup is closely fought. There's a star in it most year. This year, Jason O'Connell has been the man who's streaked ahead and has won most of them. He's on the 3rd row overall, very impressive stuff. So he starts in 5th place. And next bar behind him, I think, is Josh Brown, who's also been very, very quick. And then Lorcan McGivney, and they're back on row 7 and row 8. So they're halfway up the grid, the rookies. That's all 3 rookies. Dave Maguire's on pole with Keith Rabbit alongside him. Keith Rabbit is just always great to watch. A little bit wildly entertaining as well, though. In the Rapco car, that's his own company. He does a lot of sign writing for companies and vans, but also for a lot of race cars in the paddock. And Sean McGovern next up. And then Michael Barrable, massively experienced Formula Ford 1600, many rallies, Fiat Uno Cup winner, Dunlop Sexton Trophy winner back in the early 90s, and went away for a couple of years, came back. He didn't get any slower. He's won this championship on a number of occasions, and he's won the 6-hour race as well. There's a 6-hour race for these cars at the end of the season, November the 5th. You can run 3 or 4 drivers in them, and everybody does it just for a bit of fun, even though it's quite serious at the front. But it's a great end of season race meeting. Then Jason O'Connell that we spoke about, and Keith Dawson, former champion in global GTs and I think possibly in strikers. Keith Dawson, another very successful driver. 76 is Derek Graham, Northern Ireland visitor. Derek raced a lot down here in Mark 1 Puntos and Punto Abarts back in the day, then came back racing up north in the Northern Ireland Zetec series. He's won that. His son Michael is leading that at the moment. We're wondering will Michael make an appearance on Mondello Tarmac at some stage. And then Eduardo Gonzaga, our Brazilian representative, that's his best qualifying position probably ever. It's the best I can remember. Really good stuff from him. We've got a great team around him and tries really hard. They do great social media. Eduardo Gonzaga on row 4. Then Andy Kavanagh, who was up the front in qualifying but dropped back towards the end. Alan Dawson alongside him, 48. Then James Byrne, last year's rookie champion. Kelsey Kirby, well up, number 97. Then Ian Fishburne, Josh Brown, Emma Dempsey, Lorcan McGivney, Caleb Shanley, Garrett Burke, Cole McLaughlin, Michael McCardle, well up, another novice. Chloe Kellett, Adam O'Mahony, Jordan Flanagan, Matthew Tyrrell, Brian Matthews, Patch the racing driver as he calls himself, Jason Cross, Hannah Selsey, Alan Turner and Stephen Cullinan. I don't think Stephen Cullinan was out in qualifying this morning. I'm not sure if he's on the grid. Looking out the window, no. The last car I see there is Hannah Selsey, so I don't think so. We've also got another brand new driver, Jason Cross, who's not on the back row of the grid. First race, just entered and registered for the championship. So that's 171. Here they come down to the grid. This will be an interesting race. Keith Rabbit, always good to watch. He throws this car around, has it at all sorts of angles. That's the Rapco car. Of course, his uncle Liam Rabbit, we're remembering today as well. Liam Rabbit, a long-time racer at Mondello Park and an innovator and promoter of many different brands. Passed away suddenly a couple of weeks back, and Barry Rabbit, Keith Rabbit and Shane Rabbit all went to Kyrgyzstan in his memory immediately afterwards and raced. And the two boys were right at the front of the Boss Ireland race, and Keith managed to get 2 fine wins in honour of his late uncle. He'd be hoping to do something the same today as Brian Matthews. Looks like he's doing a 3-point turn down the back. They've just been directed to their proper grid positions. A packed grid of budget tin tops. The Siltex Safety Fiesta Zetecs are ready to go. The red lights are on at the top of your screen. They're out and away they go. And Rabbit moves straight across. There's almost contact as they're heading away. I think they give each other room, but Rabbit wasn't looking straight ahead at all. Head over to the right. McGuire's not backing out of it at all though. He's keeping his elbows out and he's laid on the brakes down into turn 1. Nothing Rabbit can do. He can try and sit around the outside though and see if he can have it for Campion Corner. And maybe he will as they head through turn 2. Now everybody else cleared out to turn 1. Let's see who it's going to be. It is Keith Rabbit, or is it? No, McGuire's still there and he's not lifting out of it. McGuire in a third gear flat out, both of them heading towards turn 3. This is great stuff from the off. And Rabbit round the outside. I did say he was good to watch. McGuire does not want to give this away though, does he? In the LOH car, and Rabbit gets out of shape. He's gone off onto the wet line. That's going to cost him time. And McGuire gets a McGovern second. Barrable up to third now. And is that Keith Dawson next up? Indeed it is. So Keith Rabbit with a little bit of work to do. Jason O'Connell, the rookie leader, right with them too. Then Gonzaga, Graham, Alan Dawson, Andy Kavanagh, all the rest now. Ian Fishburne down into the S as well. I did say this was going to be good. But what about that? Keith Rabbit sitting around the outside everywhere. Almost had it, but Dave McGuire was not for giving that one away. It's Alan Dawson and Derek Graham side by side on the way up the hill there. Garrett Burke in the middle of that one too. So McGovern and McGuire, that's been the story of it lately. Michael Barrable is leading the championship though in third place. If he can hang around there, he'll be absolutely delighted. Remember, the top 6 get reversed after this one, down into 7A and B. 4th gear down into 2nd. Sometimes they say 3rd for the first bit and then 2nd for this bit as they get turned in. Then it's Barrable, then Keith, Rabbit and Barrable. They have a little bit of history. There's Derek Graham up over the inside curb. Rabbit's back up to 4th place though, and he'll be keen to get back up there again. He managed to fend off Keith Dawson. No problems for Dave McGuire as he goes through the right left of Bahrain's Bends. Right with him, well almost with him, is McGovern now. A lot of experience, a lot of talent in this grid. Cars are pretty much standard. You can skim the head a little bit to the regulations. They run a standard Ford spec shock, a KYB shock, but they're not dear. I think it's less than 200 quid for all 4 shocks. You can run a set of control springs. They're not racing shocks. The springs lower them and are a little bit stiffer than standard. Apart from that, it's just safety gear is all you can use on these Nankang tires, which are like a track day tire. So you can build these cars pretty cheaply, buy them cheaply, and they don't cost that much to run. They have gone up a little bit in price lately, but not by as much as some people think. There's still some good value available in them as they head down towards turn 1. McGuire, McGovern, Barrable, Rabbit, Keith Dawson, Jason O'Connell, Eduardo Gonzaga, Alan Dawson, Derek Graham, Andy Kavanagh, Fishburne and Lorcan McGivney. I think that is right, with Fishburne going nicely. Lorcan McGivney up 4 places inside that first lap. Highest grid mover on the opening lap there, Lorcan McGivney. He's second now in the rookies in this one. Jason O'Connell leading the rookies. Oh, Maguire gets out of shape this time, holds it beautifully. Surely that'll cost him time. Barrable down the inside of McGovern for second place. It's very slippery down there. Somebody else gone wide. Was that Jason O'Connell? McGovern won't back out of this one. It's a long, long left-hander now, so he'll take that second place back. Barrable tries to get in behind him. Oh, Rabbit launched it down the inside into Barrable, dislodges his bumper. That sends Barrable wide. Michael Barrable's not going to be into this. It's championship points he's looking for as Keith Dawson gets the run on him up the hill now. All the rest of them, there's the Tyre Brigade car of Garrett Burke. And that's Michael McCardle. He's up a couple of places as well, going nicely. He's 4th in the rookies at the moment. Gonzaga goes a little bit wide. Alan Dawson gets up the inside of him. Keith Dawson moving around now behind Barrable. But they've got that rookie leader behind them, Jason O'Connell. Very quick man. McGovern slows down. Dave Maguire perhaps just a little bit. Rabbit in 3rd now. Barrable back to 4th. Then Keith Dawson. Keith Dawson hasn't been out for the last few rounds. 2 rounds today and 2 rounds at the final ICCR meeting in October as they go through Bahrain's Bends one more time. It's Maguire, McGovern, Rabbit, Barrable, Dawson and O'Connell. Jason O'Connell still leading the rookies. Lorcan McGivney in 2nd in the rookies and Josh Brown 3rd in the rookies and 14th in the race at the moment. Straight. McGovern's managed to track down Maguire just a little bit. These were 2 very much the young guns of the class. Been going very well from mid-season onwards. Maguire was finished the testing here on Friday. That's Lorcan McGivney off on the outside. That's going to cost him a place, I think. Not sure who that is. Let's have a look at the go by. Josh Brown, I think that just got by him there. That was for 2nd in the rookies, so that's put McGivney down to 3rd, I think. In rookies, indeed it has. And Josh Brown up to 2nd in the rookies. So Maguire still leads from McGovern. Down to the double apex right-hander. Michael Barrable now piling the pressure on Keith Rabbit. And Dawson and O'Connell right there too. O'Connell brand new to racing this year. Very, very quick driver. Jason O'Connell leading that rookie championship. Maguire's got a little bit, it got away just a little bit. Fastest lap is to Keith Rabbit now at 13.787 last time round. As they stream up the hill now. All looking at different lines there. Well, Rabbit has fastest lap, but only by a fraction. Sean McGovern, he almost as quick and just a tenth or two off as the leader, but Rabbit looking good again this time round. Closing down McGovern. In fact, McGovern had eased away, I thought, by this stage last time round. Rabbit's car rocking around. He always fires the car around. So Barrable leading the championship by a few points from Alan Dawson, so this would be a good result from him, but that's Alan Dawson's nephew behind him moving around. So Alan Dawson is in 7th place now. He's got by Gonzaga, Eduardo Gonzaga, and he's got Derek Graham behind him. That's them at the top of the screen. It's Alan Dawson just a little bit of understeer there and a little bit doesn't get quite into the apex. He's obviously trying very hard to come up through the pack. There's Andy Kavanagh, the Miles Plus car, the Leaving Hostel car of Eduardo Gonzaga, and Andy Kavanagh just ahead of him now. That's Ian Fishburne, the Fish Graphics car, right with them. As Keith Dawson looks down the inside of Barrable as they come onto the straight. First three, you can see the cars bounce as they grab 3rd gear. Soft, relatively soft suspension. You think, oh, Gonzaga elbowed off there. That's Kavanagh on the inside, Fishburne right with him. Alan Dawson under pressure now from Derek Graham just ahead of them. So Rabbit still in 3rd place. Barrable having to go defensive as Keith Dawson begins to sniff around the back of the Michael Barrable Motors car, the MB Motors car. Fastest car through the speed trap so far, Kelsey Kirby, 114.8 as opposed to 113 dead for Maguire, and 113.2 for Barrable. Rabbit 114 as well. Most of 112, 113. They're pretty close all the way down the grid, and McGovern gets around the outside of Maguire. Can he get the door closed? Maguire keeps the shoe in. Maguire will at least be alongside on the exit here. Rabbit's not sure which horse to back as they head up the hill. He decides to go with McGovern. McGovern's got the inside line. If he goes through, Rabbit's definitely going to come with him here as they go up to Lola Corner. They're up Kennedy's Rise. Maguire looked like he was going to try and tuck in behind McGovern, but I don't think he's going to be able to. He's left on the outside. NASCAR stuff here as Keith Rabbit keeps the shoe in the Rapco car. Maguire's ahead, but the next one's a right-hander. It's a bit of a run down to it, and I don't think he's got the run. He hasn't on Rabbit. So Rabbit down the inside up to second place. Maguire back 2 places now. New leader this time round. Barable's in the action here too. 7A and 7B. Keith Dawson trying to get up the inside of Michael Barable as they come up towards Bahrain's Benz. Oh, I think there might have been contact. There is contact as they went out a shot. Barable gets shoveled out wide to the right-hander of Bahrain's Benz there. So McGovern, Rabbit and Maguire in this one. 1, 2 and 3. Nothing in it really, although Maguire is fighting back. Barable's still next up. He's held off Keith Dawson. Big lock up there from Keith Rabbit. His onboard is always entertaining to watch. He's been known to use the handbrake to try and stop the car or get it turned in on occasion when he's in battle, which is a very unusual tactic in circuit racing, but Keith's an unorthodox driver. Always good to watch. Alan Dawson and Derek Graham coming through. They're getting a little bit closer to that battle in front as Michael Barable comes under repeated pressure from Keith Dawson. 3 minutes 46 still to run on this one, so a few laps still to go. Beginning to ease away just a little bit now as Rabbit has his mirrors full of Dave Maguire, who goes down the inside. Rabbit turns in, but Maguire I think was already committed to that. They've given each other room though. In fairness, they've backed out of it, but Rabbit might have covered that one just a little bit late. But it's saloon car racing all the same. They seem happy enough to have a go at this, but there's no real pushing around. They're having a go down the inside, but they're giving each other a little bit of room. Certainly good to watch. That's cost Maguire a bit of time. Then Barable next up, and Keith Dawson, Jason O'Connell. All streaming through Lola Corner, the long left-hander. Barable's got himself a little bit of a break. Alan Dawson now trying to get onto the tail of Jason O'Connell. Rabbit again in the Rapco car late in the brakes. Maguire matching him. Rabbit really trying now in the closing stages, try and get up to McGovern. Fastest lap is still to Keith Rabbit, 13.1. They're all out in the 14s this time round. No change yet as they come through Bahrain's Benz. Probably one more lap to run, I would imagine, after this. So heading for paddock corner for the penultimate time. Come onto the main straight now. McGovern, Rabbit, Maguire. Minute 17 to go, so this is the final lap. Garrett's done this to perfection. Looked like Maguire had it in the bag early on, but these three have really gone at it. Barable's still going nicely in 4th place. There's a waved yellow at turn 3, and there's a green flag we just saw coming out. So somebody off at turn 3. Not any of our leaders, I don't think. It's Gonzaga, is it? He's gone missing from our lap charts a lap ago. I think it is. Rabbit now on a last lap effort through Lola Corner. Oh, getting the car out of shape again. Probably cost him a little bit of time. He looked like he was getting a run there, but it got out of shape. Maguire comes at him. He goes to the inside to defend. Maguire keeps the shoe in. They're side by side now on the way down towards 7A and 7B. momentarily gone out of our shot. There they are. Oh, we missed it there, but Maguire's got that place back, and Barrable in with a sniff now as well, and Rabbit right up over the curb. I don't think that's the end of it as they come back towards us for the final time. It's McGovern, Bahrain's Benz. Barrable has to defend the inside again. Come back towards us now, and Rabbit has lost a little bit of time coming up the hill, but McGovern looking very strong now at the closing stages of this one. And Keith Dawson is lifting off. This is interesting stuff. He's allowing Alan Dawson past, which could get Alan Dawson up to 6th place, which will give him pole for race 2. So tactics very much coming involved here. Unless Derek Graham gets by Alan Dawson, it could all go wrong for them here. Look, watch the top of your screen. If Derek Graham gets by Alan Dawson here, that's the race for pole position in race 2. So Keith Dawson lifting off, letting all the other cars by, and allowing Alan Dawson. Hasn't been in the top 6 all through the race, but he's going to come 6th here, and that will give him pole position for race 2. So the checker flag, McGovern takes a fantastic win. Dave Maguire 2nd, Keith Rabbit 3rd, Michael Barrable 4th, Jason O'Connell 5th, Alan Dawson inherits the 6th place, Derek Graham 7th, Keith Dawson 7th, Derek Graham 8th, Ian Fishburne 9th, Andy Kavanagh rounds out the top 10. So great stuff as the Fiesta Zetecs still scream across the line. Jason O'Connell takes the rookie victory, but a cracking battle for 2nd place. Josh Brown takes 2nd in the rookies from Lorcan McGivney, great stuff. Michael McCardle is 4th in the rookies from Matthew Tyrrell, Adam O'Mahony, Jordan Flanagan, Jason Cross going nicely in his first outing, Chloe Kellett and Hannah Seltsy. That's your rookie order. But yeah, the big news there on the final lap, I thought that might happen. I didn't want to say it until it did. So Keith Dawson just lifting out of it there and allowing a couple of cars by him. He calculated that to perfection. That elevated Alan Dawson up to 6th place and gives him pole position for race 2. So there you go, top 6, Sean McGovern, Dave Maguire, Keith Rabbit, Michael Barrable, Jason O'Connell and Alan Dawson. They'll be back on track with that top 6 reversed for the grid for race 2 in the Siltec safeties. So we're going on a short break for lunch, and we'll be back with some more live coverage shortly here at Mondello Park.
Square left onto loose. Yeah, that's good. Good drive. Keep going. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Rev it up, rev it up. Go there. Go, go, go. One right, immediately followed by a 5 right. Keep it lit, keep it lit, keep it lit. Come on, keep on, keep on, keep on. Keep on, keep on, keep on. Come on, come on, keep going, keep going, keep going.
Continental Tires, Irish Compact Car of the Year 2023. Speaks for itself. The new Opel Astra.
Welcome to Mondello Park, more than just a racetrack.
We have conferencing facilities for up to 200 people.
We can provide a wide range of fresh, locally produced food, from soup and sandwiches all the way up to a full 5-course meal.
Test your team to work together in a series of racing challenges against the clock in our state-of-the-art driving simulators.
Or if you want to try the real thing, jump behind the wheel of one of our many supercars.
Test your team with our wide variety of non-driving team-building challenges. Or beat the clock in our exhilarating Auto Test Challenge. Mondello Park, so much more than just a racetrack.